Hi, I'm Dr. Paul Haefner. Welcome to Sport Psych in a Minute, your weekly resource for insights and tips into the psychological side of equestrian sport. This week I'd like to take a little bit of a flight of fancy out into the world of theoretical physics and mathematics. As many of you know, I have a background in physics, and there's a lot from the science of physics, especially as it relates to energy, bioenergy, biomechanics, that really makes sense to me in a very, very different way. A lot of times when we think about science, we think about what we would call classical mechanics, or thinking about things in a linear way in terms of cause and effect. If we want to fix a problem, we find the problem, we change something, and that feeds through the system and creates a different effect in time. What we don't think about is the theory and the math behind that. So in the world of physics, there is a principle which, from the study of thermodynamics, which is called entropy. And the idea is, in our world, things move from a more ordered state to a less ordered state, or higher concentrations of energy to lower concentrations of energy. And the easiest example to talk about is that of a steaming cup of coffee or tea. If you let that sit, we know that the energy will dissipate from that system until it reaches a balance with the environment and everything is at the same level of energy. One of the things that I always struggled with is that there are an awful lot of things that explains, but interestingly enough, most things that are biological really don't seem to work that way. And when you think about our horsemanship, things often move in the other direction. So what I mean by that is, if you think about you and yourself and the horse, maybe that sort of state of entropy would be kind of each sort of finding a place to sit in a pasture, and you reach that kind of low level of energy and organization. But really what we're trying to do in our riding is we're trying to create complexity in movement and maneuvers, increased information, concentrated energy. And like many biological systems, that really is not well explained by entropy. Historically, we talk about that as being something that is in the world of spirit, and a lot of times when you think about creating things in the future, it does fall in that world of the spiritual, or it falls into the realm of spirit, creativity, artistry, and such. A friend of mine referred a book to me, and I started reading it a couple of weeks ago. And the title of the book, I don't know the whole title, I'll put it in the comments below, is Syntropy. It's all about the idea of what we call syntropy. And little known to me, about the same time that physicists were coming up with the mathematical models and the equations to describe thermodynamics and quantum physics and what we know of as entropy, at the same time, there was a mathematician who worked on a set of equations that in one way worked forward in time in the way that we normally think about it. But there was also a solution that worked backward in time. So what he hypothesized is that in our world, certainly we can have things that move forward in time, and we're most familiar with that. But he also posited that there were these states, future states, that he called attractors or finalities, that actually drew us forward to them. I always get excited when I find out that there is valid mathematical descriptions of things that we often think of as spiritual, and that ultimately the foundations of something like syntropy, attractor states, finalities in that will be as common in our scientific community as things like Einstein and special relativity. Finally, what I would say is that the really exciting thing about this for me is that it makes a heck of a lot of sense in terms of what we're trying to do. Often we talk about the use of things like visualization. We try to move beyond just the visual sensory channels. We try to have people use their imagination to capture what they're looking for in their interactions with their horses and in their performance. We are looking for things that inspire, that move us forward, that help us see where we are trying to end up, because oftentimes the process, and especially in training and learning, doesn't seem all that straightforward or sensible, and that there are ups and downs and backs and forths in that process. And the importance of those kinds of things, and from now on going to talk about those attractor states or finalities to help draw us forward, are as important as the part of the equation where we have a push from behind, where we have this idea of cause and effect. These are not opposite things, they're not mutually exclusive things, they are complementary things. Both entropy and syntropy can work together at the same time. So for those of you who are fans of the world of physics and theoretical mathematics, there's something to ponder for the week. I'm Dr. Paul Haefner. This has been Sport Psych in a Minute, and I will look forward to seeing you next week.